a little late, but Merry New Year from
I'm
Groz
making
with Gas
myself
and Take Five.
look. Merry New Year is right. Yes,
You look good. You look good, buddy.
I'm pulling out. You should see. We're doing laundry at the Gastineau house today. You should see the pile of reds that's getting washed. I mean, it's to the roof and back. How much red clothing I've been going through of late. But more on that to come. I wanted to mention off the top before we get to the Seahawks and this amazing run that they've got in front of them, that we set I don't know what this means. We set a record for show downloads last week. Our show was downloaded more than it ever had been, and we appreciate that. Now, if you listen to it after you download it, that'd actually be a big help, for Pete's sake. But no, we don't mind. And through the worldwide power of the Puckett Broadcasting Corporation, and of course, our show comes to you from the 12th floor studios of Puckett headquarters in the Puckett Tower at One Puckett Plaza in Ballard, Washington. 28 different countries have downloaded and enjoyed the Groz with Gas program Take 5. So that's how big we are today. We're a big damn deal.
We're international, buddy.
That's right.
There's no stopping us now.
Kind of like our friends, the Seahawks, who, I don't know, it's the NFL, so there's maybe stopping them. But I think that team's going to be hard to beat in their home stadium, which they've got 2 games in a row there if they keep winning. I don't know. I'm pretty high on them at this point, Groz, after the last couple of weeks.
Well, I think everyone is. I mean, they're the favorites going into this thing. They've had the best record. They've had, it's funny how many teams have, what do they have, a 6 or 7 game winning streak right now?
Yeah.
And it's like the 3rd longest.
Yeah.
Going into the playoffs, I mean, you got a 10-game winning streak going with one team. Texans have won like 9 in a row. So you've got a lot of teams that are coming in real hot. But, I think the 49er game was such a telling game because that's how you win playoff football games.
Right.
That's how you do it. You don't turn the ball over, and, you play good defense and you will win. And that's going to work for you against everyone. So, it's still, the Seahawks still provide those, and, it's going to be for a while with Sam Darnold until we get used to him. But there's always seems to be 2 or 3 times during the game where you're like, ooh, boy, got away with one there. But, and nothing you can do about that because you do want to take chances and whatnot down the field. But that 49er game is the way to win in the postseason. And if they can keep doing that, not turn the ball over, they can't get beat, I don't think.
And while Darnold had a couple of moments, by far, I thought his best performance as a Seahawk. I thought he made good decisions. He just kind of stayed out of some of the trouble that he's gotten into in the past. It's funny how the narrative is going, and I'm glad that the team is really speaking up on his behalf. And he hasn't been horrible. We've talked about it, Dave. You got to live with his mistakes. That's just the kind of quarterback he is. But I don't think as a Seahawks fan you need to feel bad if you feel like nervous about him. I think that's an okay way to feel. I'm glad the team has his back. They should. But the defense just, God, they obliterated San Francisco. And the only thing San Francisco gets going all night, the Hawks got kind of a lucky bounce on that interception, but so what? That's part of the game. I don't know, that defense, just again, it makes me think whoever comes in here is really going to have their hands full because the crowd will be cranked up. The defense will be cranked up. And if there's a mistake made, I think the defense can hold them. I really do. I think we're looking at maybe Seattle's 4th trip to the Super Bowl.
Well, I think cranked up is one way to put the crowd, but it's going to be, I think we know what it's going to be like. And a lot of teams in the NFL the last couple of years don't. I mean, it really hasn't been what it was at Lumen Field until maybe some games this year, but they've not had the kind of unbelievable, sound that the games have had in the past, and I think they'll have right now. I mean, it's funny though. This team has been so good on the road with Mike McDonald that you didn't tend to not care and notice that going into this year, I think they were just about 500 in the last 3 or 4 years at home. But you're right. Now this is a different story now, and you're gonna see the crowd making a difference the way they used to, I think. Yeah. And it's just as long as things go swimmingly. But that's the only Seahawks Achilles heel in this thing is turnovers. That's the only thing that I think they have as a weakness, and it's something they've been able to overcome. Obviously, the best record in the NFL, so it's not something that has held them back entirely. But that's going to be your fear going into it. So. It's interesting the way things broke down yesterday. I mean, the NFL, man. The Packers and the Ravens, last game on Sunday, everyone's wondering, why are you putting that one there? That's where the Seahawks game should be.
Oh, Steelers Ravens, yeah.
Steelers, forgive me, yeah. You happen to land on like one of the wildest games we've ever seen.
Well, were there like 4 touchdowns scored in the last 4 minutes or
Yeah.
something? It was crazy, and I thought I was kind of bashing Aaron Rodgers last week. I thought he showed a little humanity afterwards, where he said, for the kicker, he goes, "That really sucks." He goes, "I'd rather beat them with the ball in my hand rather than see a guy who's a good kicker just gack a field goal and blow a playoff chance." That's a long off season for that poor guy, and maybe a long career now, whether he ever is able to recover from that. But yeah, it was just a spectacular game. The league just delivers. Well, shoot, the Niners Seahawks game was spectacular. They seem, in the big moments, they delivered. The sport delivers. The whole concept, going back years and years and years, the way they set up the draft, the way they set up scheduling, the whole thing of making it hard for dynasties to exist. Now, dynasties still exist, but they force the action away from great teams and to the teams that aren't doing so great, and that keeps the league balanced and incredibly interesting coming down the stretch. It's just, and every playoff matchup, to me, there's one playoff matchup that's predicted to be a rout. That's the Rams-Carolina. Rams are giving 10 in that game.
The team that beat them, by the way.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting. Every other game is 4 points or less in terms of the spread. So we're, in theory, going to see nothing but great games this weekend, which won't surprise me if that's the case.
No, not at all. And I've been thinking that the Seahawks are trying to come up with a nickname for that defense, and I think they call what they call the dark side, right?
Yeah, I think
so. Yeah. Let me run something by you.
you got
a minute here for me to try?
I got nothing but time.
The dark side. You don't
know
power. The dark side. You don't know power. The dark side.
All right. See? I'll go with dark side, man. Everyone else has got to go with it, though.
Yeah, after that, how can they not? And I mean, this is why this show is downloaded worldwide, is the cutting edge technology.
Someone's working for you here.
That's right. We're out doing the research. No, I like that. I love the defense, and again, I love that. You can't help but compare them to the one that was here 10 years ago, and it is fun because. When I remember talking to George Karl, different sport, but I remember talking to George Karl, says if you've got a good defense, you can win any game you're in any sport, really. I mean, you can. It's not a guarantee, but it gives you that opportunity, and that's how I feel with the Hawks. Like, well, there's no game that they should fear the opponent, because the defense will level the playing field for them, I think.
Well, you know what? Last 3 games, I think they've averaged about 175 yards rushing, which is what they've wanted to do all year. So they are set up to they're playing the way they want to be playing going into the postseason, and we'll see how it plays out. I mean, the games at home are going to be big. I think, as most people would say, if you could dodge the Rams, it'd be great. I think that's true to a point, but another team that I fear a little bit more than the Rams, actually, that's a team that haven't played this year.
Philadelphia.
Yeah. The Eagles have won 3 straight now. They know exactly what it takes to get there. Right. They are a team with a great defense. They've been spotty on offense, but their offense has gotten them there beforehand. All hands are experienced there. Now, one thing you might have going for you, the Seahawks position, is the way the Eagles ended the year not winning, even though the Bears lost, could have landed in the number 2 spot. Eagles, theoretically, guys, are going to have to beat the Niners, the Rams, and the Seahawks to make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, right.
So
right.
It's not going to play out that way. So I would like to see I'd rather see the Eagles last, but the Rams, you think, because of the great games they've had, are certainly are a tough matchup for them. Philadelphia is the champs, and until proven otherwise, they're going to be good. But it's just some great matchups early. I think a couple of teams I think are going to. I don't know if disappointed is the right word, but are not going to be able to live up to what they've done so far. I think the Bears are gone in the first round. I think the Packers are going to beat the Bears. Bears have lost 3 of their last 5. They've had some miracle plays, but I still think they're there yet, and I think Green Bay will be healthy for that game. So I know they've lost 4 straight, but I think that about the Packers. And then, Gas, the New York Football Giants did not have a good year. Would you agree?
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus among most of the people who follow them.
The New York Football Giants won 1 more game against the team of the winning opponent than the New England Patriots did. I think the Patriots have been great, but they've played 1 team with a winning record.
Right.
That's Buffalo, and they split with them. So, I'm not so sure how they're going to, I know San Diego is beat up, and I don't know if Harbaugh's guys will get them or not in that first round, but I think that, there's some teams that are going to struggle a little bit. And it does seem, I think everyone talking about it being wide open. Boy, it sure feels that way without Mahomes, doesn't it?
On the AFC side, particularly,
yeah.
And I mean, Denver's a great example of how goofy this league is and how hard it is to predict. Denver goes out and makes one of the worst trades in NFL history to get Russell Wilson. Then the whole thing collapses. They got to bring in another coach. They chase Wilson off. They got to pay him a ton of money. And within 2 years, they're the team, and they're the clear-cut team to beat in the AFC. So it shows you, I mean, Peyton has his detractors, but he obviously has done a nice job of asserting himself there and doing what he wants to do to get them good. Everybody else in the AFC throw a blanket over them. It wouldn't surprise me if anybody comes out of that to end up having to face Denver. And for that matter, I mean, I don't know. I tend to say I don't quite believe in Denver yet, but that's kind of foolish. They're really good and they've won all year.
Right.
But the rest of the AFC, I mean, yeah, it's I mean, what if Aaron Rodgers gets on some kind of crazy run, or maybe it's Trevor Lawrence's time finally? I've always liked that guy, and now suddenly this year, out of the blue, they kind of got it going. Does Josh Allen have one more run in him? Because it feels like this is it for them. It feels like, yeah. So it's it's what we always say, which is it's set up perfectly to entertain the hell out of us in January.
Yeah, well, let's hope that for the Seahawks, this miraculous year keeps going, and for Seattle sports, this miraculous year keeps going.
Yeah,
after the great run the Mariners had, now the Seahawks have one.
It's fantastic, and I don't think anybody's necessarily happy about this, but again, just the way life works out, and I don't cry for this guy because he's got $16 million coming his way, but think back to 2 years ago when there's the power struggle between Schneider and Pete, and we've talked about that here, and Schneider wins, and there were some that were like, boy, I don't know, man, but now 2 years later, Pete is fired by the Raiders. Which, by the way, did you see the Raiders are going to pay $50 million to 5 different guys to not coach them next year,
including John Gruden, for crying out loud.
Gruden's getting $10 million somehow. I mean, that organization is just they never can stay out of their way. I feel bad for Pete. I'm sure Schneider feels. I think everybody up here does. How would you not feel bad for Pete? But again, he's going to get a ton of money. Schneider, meanwhile, goes and gets McDonald. Who is this guy? Really? A defensive guy? Is he going to be the guy? And it's been perfect. You can't complain about any of it to this point. And Schneider, like anybody who's been in that job for 15 years, had plenty of detractors 2 years ago when this decision was made. Is this the right way to go? Should they have just cleaned house? Shouldn't they have brought in just a new whole thing? And kudos to whether it was Jody Allen who made the decision or a group decision or whatever. They did the right thing, and it's worked out for them.
And they started hitting again in the draft. 2 huge hits that helped that defense, man, is the big defensive tackle from Texas and the hard-hitting corner from Illinois. I mean, who just have really jumped out and, given the defense their swagger, I guess is how I'd put it. So, yeah, boy, it's going to be exciting, man. It's going to be exciting. Almost as exciting as it's probably been for you to follow the inexplicable rise of Indiana football in the NCAA, and now you're 1 game away from playing for the national championship.
It's
what the hell is going on, Gasaway?
It just continues, my oh my. For starters, and I think we'll have in post-production, Mr. Puckett will put this up there, I am starting a GoFundMe because I am flat ass broke. I'm spending so much money on travel and college football tickets, it's ridiculous. It was what was funny was, I think back to the Ohio State game. Like I told you, that game took years off my life. That game was like watching a heavyweight boxing match. It was such a great game, but the whole game you felt like one little slip here and it's over. The Rose Bowl, even though if you lose there, your season really is done. If they'd lost in the Big Ten, they were still going to move on. The Rose Bowl from. Actually, even before the game, I told you last week, Indiana was better than Alabama at everything, way better than them at everything statistically, which doesn't always max out. But Indiana on the second play of the game had an 8-yard run. And I said to the guy sitting next to me, I said, they're going to be able to do that all day. They're going to be able to run the football all day. And they were. And by the middle of the first quarter, that game felt like, even though Indiana hadn't scored yet, it felt like they're going to roll today. And then the whole funny sequence where DeBoer couldn't decide whether to go for it or fake a punt or pull him off sides. And the shot of Signetti looking at him like, are we screwing around or are we playing football? And
a guy who's 3 steps ahead of everyone all of a sudden.
It feels, and look, DeBoer's been a pretty good in-game coach over the years. He made some ballsy calls that have worked. This one did not, and he looked confused. Frankly, the whole situation, Alabama looked confused. And from that moment on, my God, this thing's over. But Dave, it's people just walking around dressed head to toe in Indiana gear, just with dopey grins on their faces. Like, as I've said, there's not a lot of obnoxiousness yet about it. People, people are just, can you believe this is happening? I mean, they've watched this team get beat up and screw up and shoot themselves in the foot. They were the Barney Fife of college football. They just couldn't ever get out of their own way. And now, a little over 2 years after this guy that nobody knew said, hey, Purdue sucks, but so does Ohio State and so does Michigan. And we're like, oh, man, pump the brakes there a little bit, Coach. And he spoke it into existence. And Friday night will be a nerve-wracker in Atlanta, but hopefully they can knock the Ducks off again and then and get to the championship.
Probably against Ole Miss. Which is funny because all of a sudden then Indiana's little Cinderella story gets some company because Mississippi certainly has a lot of people who didn't really think about them a month ago that are fans now for obvious reasons because of Kiffin abandoning them, and now they're rolling maybe to the championship. It's I think Indiana Mississippi is probably what would make the TV people happiest because I think Indiana again has got a ton of casual popularity from people who are like, well, it's kind of neat that this team's fine. And then Mississippi because of the Kiffin story. But if it's Miami, it's in their hometown. If it's Oregon, it's Oregon. And they're a guy. I just realized I had a dream about Phil Knight last night. You think this stuff is in my head right now? A little bit, buddy. Something's in there.
Starting to lose my mind, I think. But, one thing that struck me, Dave, and that this could be an unpopular take, although I don't know when the last time anybody was there. It was my first trip to the Rose Bowl since the Marcus Tuiasosopo game. And I'd forgotten that it's really old.
Yeah.
And when you're in it and watching the game, it's spectacular. But those long tunnels to get back out of the concourses are small. It struck me. I was like, God, this is not the most comfortable stadium for a lot of the accoutrements. And what hit me was, geez, the last time I was at a Rose Bowl, I'd never been in Lumen Field. I'd never been in the Colts Stadium. None of them were built yet. When I was there in 2000. And when you've been to these nice NFL stadiums or even New Husky Stadium, which is built in such a way to be a little more fan-friendly, and you go into this, it's like, wow, there is, and then getting in and out of there is just, it's always been a nightmare, and it still is. All of that, though, I just had a big dopey grin on my face the whole time, especially when I was quaffing $22 Rose Bowl cocktails. You better smile at that point, man. You better go. I'm thinking to myself, $22 for a cocktail. Well, God damn it, we can't pay the players. my ticket was like $550 and the drinks are $22 a throw. I don't mind if the offensive tackle's making a couple $1,000. I can live with that. Some of this ought to be trickling down to him.
Oh, it's funny, man.
But what's your big Groz sensibility tell you? Who's going to win this thing? You think the Hoosiers are the team to beat?
They're much better than anyone else.
Yeah,
they're much better than the teams that are remaining. So I mean, they should win it easily. I think it sounds crazy to say, but they are more talented than those teams that are there. They're playing better than anyone. I mean, unless that falls. I mean, look, think about the other thing they did. They're the only team. It's only been 2 years of it, though, but it's been 2 years of great football teams who had buys and won.
Yeah.
They've already done something that hadn't been done in this thing, and won handily.
Right.
So I think they look like the team to beat.
I had totally forgotten about the buy thing, and then you were kind enough to send me a text saying that Oregon won, so another buy team lost, and my heart rate just went through the roof at that point. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate the update, pal.
But that was it. Indiana was the only one to get it done. So, I think their miracle season continues, and college football continues to grow in crazy ways.
Yeah, it almost in spite of itself, and
yep.
We'll see. What about this weekend? You've been, I'll just, without going too far behind the scenes, you've been red hot with your NFL picks of late, Dave. And there's, like I said, the Rams are the only double-digit game, and they're giving 10 to Carolina, which, wait a minute, is that right? Let me look that up. That doesn't sound, is that right? That's amazing, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll cover that, but I think they'll win.
I think they'll win, and I think they'll cover it. I think that they're a better team than Carolina. Carolina's struggling a little bit down the stretch, although they did get there, but they lost that game. They need to back in and have Atlanta win for them. So, although we do know what teams with losing records can do in the first round against favorite teams who aren't paying attention, they can be beast-quaked.
Right, that's right.
So, but I think I like the Rams there. I told you I like the Packers. I think they're going to beat the Bears. Eagles 49ers is an interesting one, but I think San Francisco is just they're too beat up on defense. They're too beat up on defense. I think Philadelphia will take care of them. It'll be close though. I think it'll be real close. And let's see, is that it for the NFC?
Yes, that is it for the NFC, and then Buffalo Jacksonville.
Oh, that's a huge one, man.
Buffalo giving a point and a half. That's a great game, great bet game, because I mean, who knows? You can go either way.
Well, you know what? You know, your friend, what is it, Sean McDermott? Is that the right name of the coach of Buffalo Bills?
Yeah.
0-5 on the road in the playoffs with the Bills. So if they have to go the road route this time to even get there. So, you know, we'll see if they can. I think that Jacksonville is you know, they remind me of the Seahawks a little bit on offense, that they're kind of spectacular, but they're going to make some mistakes. I think Buffalo will get past them. So I like Buffalo to knock the Panthers off. I think the Patriots are playing
Chargers.
Yeah, and, you know, their offensive line is so beat up in San Diego, but, you know, the Patriots have not beaten one good team this year, so they have a lot of experience against them. I think that's a toss-up for me. I mean, it's an absolute toss-up for me. I'll say the Patriots, but not with much confidence.
And then Houston at Pittsburgh next Monday night. I would think the Steelers rolling off that, and they get DK Metcalf back, right? Which would be one of the dumbest suspensions in the history of the NFL. For him to have gotten suspended for those last two games was just, I mean, DK is such a talent, and then just so silly with his decision making sometimes. But they somehow dodge that bullet. They get in. I would think they're the team to beat, especially at home against Houston. Another team that seems to struggle in the postseason.
Well, they won 3 straight division titles. They had the best defense this year. And, you know, that's going to be a real challenge for Rodgers and those guys in Pittsburgh. You know, I think Pittsburgh, one of two teams are going to come out there. One who, you know, exhausted by getting there, that they actually got there and breathed a sigh of relief, and that was it. And they're going to lose in the first round for Mike Tomlin again. Or, like you said, Aaron Rodgers, who threw for almost 300 yards yesterday, is about ready to start a little bit of a magical playoff run. I got the feeling that it's going to be the opposite. I think Houston's going to win that game.
All right. Well, I wouldn't pick against you. You're red hot. Groz is lock of the week.
Yeah, but I can't stay hot.
Well, yes, you can. You won't stay hot forever, but you could stay hot for a while. I had a friend who used to keep his gambling money in a vase, like a fancy vase, on the mantle at his house. I go, why do you do that? He goes, because I'm going to need it. I'm not going to keep winning. Eventually, I'm going to need what's in there to pay my man. All right. Would you like to, why don't we bring a little old-time religion into the show, Groz, with the dramatic news story, and we all certainly could use the old-time religion. We're going to Houston, where the Champion Forest Baptist Church was holding their annual Christmas Spectacular event. And I'm not sure if it's the only event that does this, but it is a Christmas spectacular that includes live animals in the church.
Warning, Will Robinson.
They bring a camel in. Yeah, you had camels in the whole Christmas story. They played a role in it. They're transporting things. Somebody had to carry all the myrrh or whatever that is. So here comes the camel. It was escorted down the aisle by a person in costume, and at one point stopped, kicked out its hind leg, and hit a woman that was in an aisle seat and knocked her on her ass. She's okay.
My God.
They come to her aid. She's okay. And another camel walked by without an incident. Church Communications Director Stephen Maori called the entire thing an unexpected incident. And I'm like, yeah.
Really unexpected? You thought bringing a camel in was going to be routine?
You go to the Christmas, it is defense. You go to the Christmas Spectacular. I'm sure it was unexpected for the woman. She's not expected to get kicked by, I mean, at one point she had to go, is that a camel? Bam! Right in the face. So, belated happy holidays. Greetings from your two Christmas stalwarts, Groz and Gas.